Victoria, welcome to my happy place. Thank you for being here. And
lovely.
This is going to be a lovely rambling chat about happiness, all things happiness, because we spend so much of our lives thinking about work, thinking about how to be better at our jobs, but what's it all for? My thesis is we should be thinking more about how to be happy. So I would love to chat to you about the things that make you happy. To begin with, would you describe yourself as a happy person?
Yes.
You certainly come across that way. And it's not a loaded question, but so far I haven't had anyone on here say no. So I'm going to go out of my way to try and get more misanthropes on the podcast. But you do come across as a happy person. Is that deliberate, or is that just naturally who you are?
It's kind of naturally who I am. I think going a little bit deep quite early on, but my dad died when I was 4. Mm-hmm. So I guess I learned that, life, can expire at any moment. And so I've kind of gone, well, if I haven't got enough money, oh, well, I'll find it somewhere.
Yeah.
If I haven't got the outfit, I'll find it somewhere. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. It's just, if you have that sort of attitude of living day to day and just enjoying the moment, it's a much easier life to live. Yeah. And I think you can just let everything go, let the little things slide.
So do you think that sort of very early formative experience in your life taught you that, that there's bigger things to worry about? It's the whole don't sweat the small stuff thing, isn't it? And that perspective, I think, is very valuable. I had to say, so for me, my mum and dad are now in their 80s. And this is something that plays on my mind an awful lot, because I make a big effort to be, cheerful, happy-go-lucky person. But and you're right, we are going quite deep early in the podcast, but that's fine. If you're listening to this, bear with us, okay? We'll put it round. But that plays on my mind more and more. Their age, their frailty, and to be honest with you, their mortality. And it's one of the only things that really properly plays on my mind at the moment. So for you would say that kind of perspective, that awareness of mortality is actually something that helps you to stay positive in life?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I think, my mum's similar age. She's 81. She lives with us. She's, touch wood, fit as a fiddle. Losing it a little bit, but she's okay. But I do a lot. I've got 2 young children, so we've kind of the circle of life and all that sort of thing. But they keep me busy. They crack me up as much as I could have ringed both their necks this morning. Generally, they're really good children, and they play really nicely together. And when you come home after a long day at work, the first thing I get is "Mommy, go home," and I get big cuddles and kisses, and it's just the best feeling,
isn't it? It really is. Yeah.
Really
is. Do you know? So I read a stat that for a hug to transfer positive feeling from one person to another, you have to hold it for 7 seconds. Now, I don't know if you've ever held a hug with an adult for 7 seconds, but it starts to feel a little bit awkward. But when your children hug you, they just hold on and on, and they do that thing where their whole body weight just soaks into you, and it feels so good.
Oh, it's so good. I know when I went through a couple of breakups, and my best friends, I've got 3 best friends, between them they've got 7 children, and I literally just surrounded them. Like, they were just surrounding me, and just I was living off their joy, and like having me back to play with them all the time and stuff like that, and run around whilst their parents were able to do the housework and stuff, so they loved me even more. But yeah, it's just that unconditional love just seeps into you. I'm a hugger anyway. So if anybody needs a hug, come and see me the next exhibition, conference, whatever it is. I'm always
7 seconds.
We'll try the 7 seconds and see how odd it is.
Yeah, apparently that's a thing. Apparently 7 seconds to transfer positive energy from one person to another. But every time I've tried it, I've been clinging on, thinking, I think this is a bit awkward now. So I reckon it might be 5 seconds after all. Okay, so for anybody listening to this, I can't believe that obviously you've got a great presence on social media, and obviously with Gluedog as well, doing fantastic work in the proptech area. But there may be a couple of people who aren't so familiar with you. So I'd like to ask you a couple of quick fire questions based around what makes you happy, just to let people get to know you a little bit better. So they're very straightforward. So what's your happy song? I know you're a musical person, so I thought this would be especially for you.
I'm probably going to say All That Jazz from Chicago.
And you are a performer, aren't you?
I am. I've just got into another show as well. So I've got
Congratulations.
Witches of Eastwick coming up in the next 4 weeks, and then I'm doing chess in concert in October.
That's very exciting. And do you know what? I wasn't going to go off on this tangent, but I think this plays into the whole topic as well, isn't it? Because that must be something that brings you joy. But also, I'm thinking especially the act of singing, because it does for me. And don't worry, we're not going to break into song now. But talk me through the feeling, how it feels because I bet not a lot of people have done this, but we've all seen it. How does it feel to take a curtain call at the end of a fantastic show?
Oh, I don't think there are words. Maybe I should just use Mary Poppins and supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, because that's probably the only word I could think of that would absolutely describe it, because you are just there. And especially the last big show that I did was 9 to 5, and we had standing ovations every single night, and that is quite rare to have that, especially in amateur dramatics. And we've got the NODA Awards ball soon, and we're up for awards for that show as well, so to be recognized as well. But that feeling, it's just, I've done my job. I've done it well. The audience have paid good money to come and see us, and they are happy, so it's almost like a big hug. That
feeling of sort of adulation, but also, like you say, a job well done. And tell me, so have you always been a performer?
So I started dancing when I was about 3 at home, and then after a year of begging my mum, she took me to ballet and tap lessons, and then I probably did my first show when I was 7, and I've been doing it ever since. I had a short break when I had children, but other than that, I've pretty much done it every year since.
And that must be quite the challenge, because I assume it's a big time commitment for you. But how important to you is it to make time for things like that?
It gives me the balance. So I'm mum when I'm at home. I'm Victoria when I'm at work. Obviously, when I get chance with my husband, I'm his wife. But this is a chance to be me and do what I love to do. And I think, it's quite a thing, especially around working mums, where they're not given that opportunity. And my husband actually was instrumental in me getting back into Amdram after our second born. And he bumped into my best friend, and she said, "Oh, is she coming to the auditions?" Sorry. She's coming to the auditions, yeah? And I thought she'd sent me a message about going to see her in a show, not actually going to audition for a show. And he then, "Well, why aren't you going? You should be going, you blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, okay, are you sure?" Because Edward was probably 18 months old at the time. So yeah, it's nice that I've got his support, because I think it is a two-way thing. But he has his golf. I do think
it's so important to have these personal passions in life, because especially when you get into family life, it's very easy just to accept that you are now swept up in part of the maelstrom that is family life. But to have your own pursue your own identity, pursue your own passions outside of that, I think is something that gives us real fulfillment. And it's something I don't do it enough personally myself. I have got that lost in my family life, and I'm sitting in my home office and I've got my 2 guitars on the wall there, and the number of times I take them down and play them anymore is tragic. And I think it's a form of discipline, actually, making sure that you have those pursuits in your own life as well. So I think that's absolutely fantastic that you do that. I've got one question through my quick fire questions, and it's taken like 10 minutes. What's your happy food?
Oh, at the moment, it's a chocolate pudding.
A specific chocolate pudding?
Yeah, I can show you. It's this one.
High protein chocolate pudding.
So I am, in part of trying to get healthier and fitter and things, I'm doing a diet, and you have a protein snack in the morning and the afternoon. And because I've taken out chocolate, which I absolutely love, I love food. So having, trying to lose weight is quite difficult for me, but I've just found this diet that's working, and those bad boys, I have 1 or 2 a week as a bit of a treat. And having been quite busy this morning, I had one for my mid-morning snack, but they are delicious.
I'm going to come back to that. Let me ask you the third question. What's your happy smell? A smell that takes you somewhere, that just makes you feel positive.
I think there's the one that instantly comes to mind. 2 that instantly come to mind. I'm gonna have 2. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. You can.
One is a roast dinner, when you can smell it cooking, and you've got the garlic and the. I always got orange juice on my chicken, and just.
You
Yum.
put orange juice on your chicken?
Yeah, so fresh orange juice. So I squeeze orange juice on top, and then I put the orange inside, so it helps steam it. It's really nice. Orange and oregano, top tip.
Okay.
With a bit of garlic. And then the other thing, completely different, is a candle that I get from the white company called Seychelles, and it's just bliss. I can't describe it. It's just blissful.
There you go. So anyone listening to this who wants to build themselves a happiness toolkit, go straight to the white company and come back via Sainsbury's and get a chocolate pudding. High protein chocolate pudding. So it sounds like, from quite a lot of the things you said, that you are quite a proactive planner in terms of not leaving these kinds of things to chance. You've got your dramatic side of things. You obviously are very on it at the moment in terms of your diet and what you're eating. And it sounds like you are quite deliberately doing these things because they know that they will bring you to a place of greater happiness. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I was getting, earlier in the year, I was getting quite down, and I was trying to lose weight, and I just, nothing was working. And funny enough, I was speaking to my best friend about it, and I hadn't, for whatever reason, we haven't spoken in about 4 or 5 weeks, just because life gets in the way, family gets in the way. She's a deputy head teacher and all this sort of thing. So we've both got, really busy lives, just generally. And she said that she'd been doing this diet, and it was working for her, and she's 3 years older than me. I was like, well, if it works for her, I'm going to try it. And it both myself and my husband have done it together, because we've been trying different things individually, but actually bring it as a team.
Yeah,
it's worked splendidly. We've both lost 12 pounds in 5 or 6 weeks.
Wow.
It sounds a lot, but actually, I guess it is a lot, but it's only a couple of pounds each week. But because we've been so focused on the process of that diet, and we had, like, my sister got married at the weekend, so we still had naughty bits as well.
You've got to keep them. You've got to have some. Sorry, no plan has ever worked for me that doesn't include naughty bits.
No. But my husband was very much. He'd never done like dry January or anything, so he did dry April, randomly, and but then he enjoyed some beers and drinks at my sister's wedding. So I think it's, if you know what your goal is, you can work back and break it down into bite-sized chunks. And that was one thing that one of my old business coaches taught me, is so, right, this is the big picture, but this is how you get there. And if you've got a blueprint to follow, it's so much easier, whether it's, you know, upgrading your house, whether it's booking a holiday, whether it's, you know, doing those once in a lifetime trips, whether it's, you know, losing weight, whether it's getting fit, whatever your goal is, if you can bring it back down into bite-sized chunks, a bit like your GCSE revision, for those that can remember GCSEs. I'm struggling. You know, your bite-sized chunks, it's so much easier. It's like that 1%, you know, gain every single day, or in my percent, losing every day.
And there's definitely something to be said for having a teammate as well. I think someone to do it with you, to hold you accountable, so much better than doing these things alone.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, my best friend goes to what she calls Chub Club, to, you know, so she's held accountable, but her and her husband have done it, and you know, she's doing phenomenally. She's lost 1.5 stone, but she's a few weeks ahead of me. But yeah, it's just, if you can do this as a team rather than just saying, right, I'm doing this, because when you start doing, you know, husband's dinner or partner's dinner, whatever, you know, children's dinner, inevitably you sort of go, oh, I'll just have that little bit, or that little bit, or that little bit, and that's when everything goes peak on. So if you do it together, it's much easier. So it's like the children, we may do their dinner and we might do something different for us, because we want to make sure that they've got a balanced meal, but we're not cutting out, we're cutting down on the carbs. Because my husband will tell you I'm a carb fiend, potatoes especially.
I think that the potato is God's gift to earth, as far as I'm concerned. Let's quickly do it. Favorite form of potato, Victoria?
Roast.
Yeah. Oh.
With a nice gravy.
It sounds to me like you're a bit of a roast connoisseur. We've got our orange chicken with orange and thyme. Oregano. Sorry.
Oh no.
We've got garlic bubbling away in the gravy.
Hungry.
We've got our crispy roast potatoes.
Oh yeah.
Right, I'm going to change the subject.
Let's get on to carrots.
Stuff my face after this. So we just finished the what's normally the intro to the podcast, and we're nearly out of time, which gives you a measure of just how much I've enjoyed talking to you. But I want to bring this slightly closer to work, because I think there is a really interesting connection between our working lives. We spend so long at work, and happiness. And so I just want to ask you, because you sound like someone who's got a very proactive approach to this kind of thing. We all have days where we get out of bed in the morning, we're just not feeling it. We don't want to go into the office. We don't want to show up for work. How do you nip a bad day in the bud?
I will certainly start by putting a couple of really good tunes on in the car.
Yes.
And not necessarily all that jazz. It's probably Lady from my clubbing days. Or what's the other one I really like? Anyway, there's a few songs I really like.
I've driven longer routes to work before, just to get to the end of the song. You get to the car park and you're really into it, and you have to drive twice around the car park just so you can finish singing it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It's such a lift in the morning. Yeah,
it really is. But also I've got into the habit of going out for a walk. So it's normally on my lunch break. But that lunch break, if I just need to clear my head, it could be 10 o'clock in the morning that I go for my lunch walk, or it might be 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I'll just go for a later lunch walk. But it's just getting out, and I find that we're quite lucky where our office is, because you walk past the business park and then all of a sudden you're in the countryside, and you start hearing the birds and the bees, and you start stop thinking about any negativity or anything like that, and it's just getting back to nature, I think. You know, one of my best places that if you ever find me stressed, which isn't too often, thankfully, the one place I will go to is by the beach.
Oh,
And it's not necessarily sat on the beach, it's just listening to that gentle crashing of the waves on the beach. That to me is almost like meditating.
yes. It really does transport you to a calmer place, doesn't it? But I'm very glad that you said that, because actually I was having a little read before we were recording. I came across a study carried out in the UK in the last few years that shows that as little as 20 minutes in nature can have measurable benefits for mental well-being. And it is something so many of us are guilty of not doing. We work through our lunch breaks. We work through our morning and afternoon breaks. We route ourselves to our desks. We tell ourselves we don't have time to do it. 20 minutes. I'm guilty of this myself, but if I know very well that if a more sensible person said to me, Toby, if you took 20 minutes out of your day, would it make a disastrous impact on your work? Of course, I'd have to say no. It'd be very worrying if I gave any other answer. And I think that that is something that we can all really take away from this. Absolutely. So to finish things up, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, which I ask everybody. And you take this literally or metaphorically, but for you, Victoria, where is your happy place?
Oh God.
It can be a place that you've never even been, or it can be somewhere where you go frequently, or it might be with a certain person or people, or it might be you're doing something that makes you feel very happy. But if you had to go to your happy place right now, or if you could go to your happy place, where would it be?
Every day, I would say go down to, so the nearest place to me that I like to go to is a place called Mountbatten. It overlooks Plymouth Sound, and it's just, I can sit up in the car park and put the windows down, hear the waves, and it's just beautiful because you're looking out over the water. You don't really see buildings. You've got a few to one side, but you've just got cliffside, and it's just stunning, especially on a beautiful day. But even if it's monstrously stormy, it's exciting to watch, but you're still safe. If I was looking for the dream place, it would either be Tuscany or the Maldives.
I'd take any three of those. Absolutely. And just leave us with a note of encouragement. What would you say to someone struggling to find joy in their life right now?
I would say focus on one thing. There's a really good book called The One Thing, which talks about, rather than sort of splitting yourself out doing, whether it's housework, gardening, whether it's 10 different jobs at work, whatever it might be, if you can just focus on the one thing, you'll see that thing is done very, very quickly and done really well. But if you try and do everything, you're balancing too many plates, and that's when it can all get on top of you and they will fall down and you're like, my life's just falling apart. It's not, it's just because you're trying to do too much. If you focus on that one thing, that plate is never going to fall. So just focus on the one thing, get that job done, then move on.
Victoria, thank you for letting us visit your happy place.
You're welcome.